My apologies. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
Right.
I personally feel that any man that puts his hand on a woman is a sucker. And just like I tell every woman in every relationship I get in, you know, even if they want to hit and play fight, not I don't want to do all that because, you know, it's weird. But the thing I wanted to say is the reason why I've never put my hands on a woman is because I was taught not to do it. And it was not by my mother. It was by my father. There's a big difference. When a man teaches you not to put your hand on a woman can try to teach you that all day long. But when a man teaches you that, he taught me and my brother that. And I remember one day my brother and his wife got into something, and come to find out it was a whole lie that he put his hands on her. And I remember I whipped on my brother so bad, it was disgusting. I felt so bad about it because I was like, yo, we was taught not to do this. So why would you put your hands on a female? And it's vice versa too. I just don't feel that people should put their hands on each other to hurt each other, because it makes no, it just, I don't know, it just don't compute to me. And my testimony is my mother was on drugs for a long time before she passed. She was clean like 7-8 years before she passed. And I went up in the house one day and she was talking to me, but she was holding her mouth like this while she was talking. And, you know, I lived over in Bronx River. Me and my boys, we was out in the streets. We was a wild bunch. And I kept saying, well, why you keep holding your hand across? So I just grabbed the hand and her whole mouth was busted up. So I'm like, you know, and we talk about moms now, of all people. What happened? Well, you know, one of the guys that used to come up here and smoke with me or whatever, you know, he tried to rape me. He didn't get to rape her, but he tried. And thank God I'm gonna get through this quick. Thank God I thought about it and I called my father as soon as it happened. And my father showed up out of nowhere because I didn't expect him to show up. And even though him and my mother wasn't together for 30 years before that, he showed up. Man had a pump shotgun and everything in the middle of Bronx River. Never found the dude. But then about 2 weeks later, me and my boys are sitting on the bench and the dude is walking down the block. And it was a bad day. It was a really, really bad day for him because that was my first time. And my thing is, I don't like to see no man abusing a woman in front of me. I just don't like it. You can yell and scream all you want. The second you put your hand on her, one of us is getting beat up. Somebody's getting beat. I ain't the baddest man alive. I know this. But one of us is going to get beat up that day. So I'm just saying, in my heart and mind, I don't feel that men and women should get into this. And ladies, y'all have to understand too, there's always somebody to talk to. I know y'all scared and he might have said a lot of things that he's going to do to your family or to your kid. There's somebody that you can talk to that's going to get you out of that situation.
Well, thank you so much, Sam, for sharing
No
that
problem.
with us. I'm going to go, I believe they said, Tracy, your hand was up next.
Yes. So first, I just want to co-sign what Sam said. And I'm so glad that you said both men and women. Because like I hear women talk about, and I slapped him and he bet not do nothing back. I check him right there, right? Because that's ridiculous. You hitting on a man, and not to say that I condone him hitting her back, but why did you do that? So I'm glad that you said that around you, it's happening. So thank you for that piece. And then Dr. Feelgood, you said something about in the beginning about the incest piece of it, but even worse in my family, we had he passed now, so I'm just gonna call him out. We had an Uncle Jimmy who everybody knew in the family was molesting my cousins. But the aunts were like protecting him. Like that's like worse. So everyone knew it, but they're like, not my brother, not my brother. So they tried to stop us from holding him accountable. So I think in the Black family, I mean, if it's there, let's call it out, right? And take care of it versus sheltering those people. And then my third point is I absolutely want to thank, and I hope I get everyone's name, Miss Greer, Miss Lark, and Miss Atkins for sharing your story. Like, thank you so much.
Yes.
I almost want to pose a question for you, and I hope I don't drop my family member's name, but Tina and I have a family member right now, and a very close, very, very close family member who is going through all of this. And she does talk about it, but after she tells us things like, he spit on me, he pushed me out of the car in front of the kids, he punched me, just keeps going on and on. She'll end it with, don't say nothing, I'll work it out. Do you know how hard that is? I'm not right. Like, don't say anything, don't let it go, don't make a big deal. It sounds bad, but don't make a big deal out of it. And I'm like, make a big deal out of it.
And Trey, and don't forget, in her mind, it'd be worse for her kids if he wasn't there. Even though they see this abuse. Just the other day, he's dragging her down the street, calling her a whore, saying she don't feed her kids. And and her kids are seeing this, and in her mind, it would be worse if they didn't have a father in the house. And it goes back to what the one sister said, and Tracy, I'm gonna jump right back out your wave to hand. It goes back to the mentality. And so in her something's broken in her that this is acceptable. And because, you know, Tracy and I are evolving and, you know, and to who we were created to be, I don't know, it's hard. So any advice, y'all, because it's kind of like, I'm the oldest one. So my first response is, let's find this nigga and we can set this off. Like, wow.
Right.
And she's like, don't say nothing. And then you want to try to push this man to be around us. Tracy, finish talking, because, you know, we always run after each other. But any advice y'all got, please.
No, because then Tina's right. Then she was like, well, why can't he come to your Christmas party, Tracy? I'm like, you just told me dude spit in your face. And so my question to all the strength of it, you know, everyone that shared their story is, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place, because I really want to say, for real, F what you told me not to say, I'm about to handle this. But then she's like, do I want it more than she does? I'm like stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I don't want to cause any more harm, but am I enabling it, right? So I'm just, any advice for how I could better talk to her, although she's being really stubborn, or just, I don't want to, this is killing me a little bit. So
she's not gonna stop until she's ready.
Right.
When she's sick and tired of being sick and tired, then it'll stop. And my advice to you is just to be there for her and not judge her. You know, not say, we told you this was gonna happen if you kept on going like this. Just
it's my niece. Now I'm throwing her out. It's my sister. It's my nieces and nephew though that are seeing her get thrown out of car. You see what I mean? And so it's like
and be there for the kids and tell them that you love them and you support them. And if they ever need you, you are there. All they have to do is call you. You have to love her from a distance right now, and continue whatever you do. Don't stop praying for her, because I know that it was the prayers of others that kept me as I went through the entire process. So, you know, but until I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, it wasn't going to happen, because even if you do get her to leave, she's going to go back probably at least once, maybe 2 or 3 times. And so, because remember, first of all, she loves him, period. The good, bad, and the ugly. And so,
wait, let me interject. They're not even together no more. Like, she got her little boo on the side, he got his on the side. Like, they got they're roommates. This is so weird.
But he's got her believing that she still is nothing without him.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, I know exactly.
Yeah. So
So he's a
Her
he's a
heart is
mix.
bonded.
He's a straight up
Her
mix.
heart is bonded with
Yeah.
his.
Say that one more time.
I said her heart has bonded with his. His may not be with her, but the reason she stays is because her heart has bonded with his.
Mhm.
There's
And
nothing.
she hopes for a better. So we'll hear her saying like for her kids. So it's like even if it's her reality is not that, in her head she's like, we're gonna one day be a family. That's the impression I get. And then that's just, you know, keeping her there. Like he's gonna be a better dad. He's gonna be. I'm like, no, you just said he spit on you like twice.
It
He,
is
and
true.
and he does get better. He does get better. I think Dr. Feelgood said something about love bombing. Oh my God. The after the whole fiasco, the I'm sorry. Oh
Did
my
do that.
God. Abusers
that.
are the best apologizers in the whole wide world.
Yes,
I
they are.
promise you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing that with us. And I'm going to, Shanika, it says Shanika's phone.
Shaniqua.
Shaniqua. Okay. See, I didn't put my glasses on tonight, people. I'm trying to have that little.
You trying to be cute, Dr.
Trying to
Fab?
be jazzy. Trying to be jazzy.
Okay. Shaniqua, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. So I just wanted to say something about what Sam said. He mentioned that he was raised with his mother and father. His father told him not to hit women. The thing is that you can take two children, right? And two brothers with a father that tells them not to do something, but one may still do it. Both still may do it. So my whole point is that I don't know if it really matters. I'm sure it does because fathers do make a difference in children's lives, especially boys and girls. Both kids need their father, but kids don't always listen. But two-parent households are better than one. It's very hard being a single parent, whether you're a father or a mother. As far as the other ladies, she said to love your sister from a distance. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you need to be in your sister's face, but in a positive way, of course. Never making her feel bad, but always talking sense to her. Because distance is not a good thing. She needs somebody because isolation is never a good thing. But I'm glad they're not together anymore. I don't know the whole situation. It sounds crazy. But distance, no, never. Criticism, constructive, yes, but never harsh. That's all.
Thank you so much. And Joycelyn, I'm gonna go to Joycelyn, then back to Gina, and then is that Burton? I think I might need to get my glasses, but nevertheless, I'm gonna go in that order. Joycelyn, go ahead. Ms. Greer.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. So there was a couple of things I started trying to write some stuff down because it started getting. But Miss Tracy, you were talking about you don't know what to do. When I was going through my issue with my ex-husband, whenever something would happen and I would tell my friends what would happen, there was this one friend that would always address my husband as if nothing happened. And when she saw him, she'd be like, "What's up, Playboy?" Like nothing was going on. I appreciated that more than anything. All of my friends that were on my side was like, "I'm not talking to that nigga because he messed with you." I got that. I really understood it and I respected it. But when she didn't act like she knew what was going on and she kept it moving, I appreciated that. So Miss Tracy, for whatever it's worth, there you go. The other thing is my parents have been married for over 55 years. They're still together. I thought I knew what a good marriage looked like. His parents had been married for 40 something at the time that we got married. We didn't make it for 5. So you kind of I've never been molested as a child. I've had the perfect, if I could point out the perfect childhood, it would be mine. So you can't really say that these things happen and then you end up in this relationship, because I never thought I would end up in a relationship where I thought that whatever my ex-husband was doing for me doing to me was okay. But at some point, I thought it was okay because I stuck in that mug and wrote it for a while. It wasn't until I saw my daughter and I thought, what would I tell my daughter if she was going through what I'm going through? And she was probably about 2 at the time. And in my mind, I said, pardon me, get the F up out of there and leave his A. That's what I said I would tell her. And then I thought about it for another couple of days and was like, well, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing what you said you would tell your daughter to do? Because children emulate what their parents do.
Yes.
So if that's what you want her to do, then you might need to pack a bag or something. And that's exactly what I did. I packed a bag. But I have a daughter and a son. I tell my daughter, don't put your hands on a man because everyone ain't raised like your son, like your brother was raised. And if you hit him, be prepared to get one back, get a hit back, because you don't know that. And then I tell my son, I don't give a damn what she does. You don't put your hands on her, period. But every man ain't raised that way. They think if a woman can raise her hand, she can get one back. And I don't debate whether or not that's right or wrong, but I tell my son, don't you hit a woman. And I tell my daughter, don't you hit a man because he may hit you back. And when he hits you back, we don't have any control over any of that at that point. But the color, you talked about initially the emotional abuse. Colorism is alive and well. It has been for a long time, but that's what my ex-husband used to use on me. And he used to call me old black, whatever. You just old black bitch, you just old black hoe, you just old black dog, you just all of that. Anything that had to do with black that made it derogatory and made promiscuity something that was a part of my life, which it wasn't. That's what he used, old black hoe, old black bitch, all of that. So anything that resonated with him that he knew, and he knew it when we dated, that was an issue for me. That colorism was an issue for me growing up in the South. He used it against me, but I didn't even see it as him using it against me. I thought of it as, oh, it must be right because now he's saying it. And so, that's all I got. I'm sorry, y'all. That's all I got.
That's okay. You know what? It takes a very strong person to share. So I appreciate everything that you're giving us, everything you're telling us. And I'm going over to Gina, and then Gina, Burton. And after Burton, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Feelgood. Gina, go ahead.
To answer to give feedback on a lot of what everybody is saying, especially the two ladies. I think they were talking together. I don't know if they're siblings or family, but
Yeah, we were sisters.
Okay. To help, I think somebody else said it clearly. She got to get tired enough to leave, but thankfully she did leave to a certain point, but she's still there. Am I right when you were saying? Okay, she's still there. So she hasn't. And a lot of things, and I can relate to some of that because a lot of things come into play when you're in love with someone. You start to pick up a lot of their, like you were saying, behaviors. You start to become one with that person, and you start to accept it more to where you accept their behavior. Even when you try to leave, a lot of things come into play. If there's children involved, if there's money situation involved, is there the support system? You guys are there, but in her mind, a lot of things will come into play is that she may feel alone to where she can't get her family involved like she needs to make herself feel that she can escape out of it. And I had to deal with that a lot because I didn't want to get my family involved because I don't want to hear, well, I told you this, or I don't want to hear none of that. If I need your help, get me out of this. I don't want to hear none of the negativity. I don't want to hear, well, you should have listened to me from the beginning. I told you he was no good from the beginning. I don't want to hear that. And a lot of times we will shun away from family and not reach out or make it acceptable to stay with that person, because we may not have the financial stability to up and leave if there is children involved. Some of us will stay and become numb to the situation, not accept it, but we will become numb to where we would just numb ourselves to deal with that person, to where we will accept their behavior because there's children involved, and the children may be attached. The children may be young to where you don't want to separate them, or in fear that he may have said, if you leave, I'm gonna hurt you and the children. You really don't know all of the aspect behind why she is still staying there. And two, it could be the financial part. She may not feel like, okay, or see that she can move. I felt that a lot. I stayed. We even moved in together, and it was my apartment. I could have left, but I stayed because I'm like, I was in a divorce battle at that time. And I'm like, this is not the time right now to bring any of this up. I don't want to up and move my child because of, it may hurt my divorce case. It was just a lot. And my son was attached to the person. He was strictly attached because he was 2. So I had all that came in play because I was not financially stable to up and move me and my son to a whole nother place, knowing I'm paying rent in my apartment. Then on top of that, I just didn't, I became numb. So she may be okay in her mind that she is numbing the situation. And that too, you can tell her all day, you need to leave, I'm here. She's not going to listen to that because she's now numb herself to accept his behavior, to accept the situation that she's in, until she gets fully tired to say, I don't even have to be in the same house with him. Yeah, we're not together, but because he's there, that gives her some comfort. Because she's there, it gives him some comfort that she ain't going nowhere. They may not be together, but she just ain't going nowhere. And they have become okay with the living situation that they're in. And it's, and I think somebody else was saying how the way it starts from, like the young lady was saying, it could be 2 children in a home and 2 boys, and one of the boys may pick up a narcissistic behavior trait than the other child, because this child may be favored versus this child. This child may get everything. This child can get what he wants when the mama said, the other child may not, because the dad may step in. And when you have that particular type of behavior going on where you favor one child over the next one, it picks up a narcissistic behavior, which becomes a controlling behavior. And when things don't go your way, then it will turn into, now you're with someone and that woman may say, no, you can't do that, when all along that person has never been told no. That person has never had to deal with someone standing up to them. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a female. If they have that narcissistic trait from a child, it will eventually, as study shows, it will turn into either a physical abuse. They will become physically abused to someone else. They'll be the abuser because it's, I get what I want. No one has never told me no. So now here you are. I like you. We together. So you're going to do what I'm saying. I'm going to beat it out you.
Oh,
so it's, and she has to get counseling. Because it's something deeper. The 2 sisters, she has to get counseling, and that may be the start to her physically recognizing what's inside herself, to eventually have her move out of that situation altogether, like completely move out. So she needs to get counseling. That would be my first thing. I wouldn't bring up anything. I would tell her, I would be willing to go with you on counseling. Let's get you some help, because you will find out in that counseling is something deeper within her that she may not have shared to you or the other sister or to the family that she's holding. And that may be the connection of why she's accepting his behavior and not wanting to move.
well, thank you so much, Gina. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Feelgood, and he is definitely going to call on Burden and Tina and take care of all of that good stuff. So go ahead, Dr. Feelgood. It's all on you.
Welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is a touchy subject, and where it's a deep subject, but I think this is therapeutic to a lot of people. I'm getting a lot of responses on everybody has something that's a common point, and like the first cuz said, we need to talk about that. So Burton, what you got to say about it?
All right. Like, first of all, yeah, I appreciate all the young ladies telling their stories too. It's a rough thing. It's a rough thing. It's a trust thing, a love thing. You know, like you said, it's trauma bonding. It has to be, because ain't no way that none of these young ladies is going to be with a man and you just with him on the first day or the first week and he punch you upside your head and you're going to go from there. That's not, he'll probably get stabbed. You know what I'm saying? Abusers, especially physical abusers, who I have known a few, are the nicest guys in the world until they not. But this is conditioning. You know, I hear what the sis Gina saying, right? By the time it's kids involved in all that, you vested your heart, your mind, and your body, you know? But that's the same physical, emotional, and psychological abuse. You understand what I'm saying? It takes conditioning. And I don't care what nobody say, by the time my sister, my daughter, or whatever is getting pushed out of cars, it's time for intervention. You understand what I'm saying? Because you could be dead. And that's what's coming. That's what's coming. That's absolutely having nothing for your life. Pushing, you could get hit by a car coming up next to you, anything, you know? That when it gets to that, it's gonna be some real hard feeling shit, some real hard, listen, the way he got you isolated and locked up, your family might have to have you isolated and locked up while we work on it. But here's the thing, sis, when we come for you, we coming for the kids too, because they belong to us too. You know, and they need to see their mama heal. If they see their mama hurt, they need to see her heal. And with that, I'm gonna get off this thing. I love all y'all. I'm gonna go eat some food, man.
Thanks, Black.
Yo, bro, I talk to you.
All right, holla. Yo, Tina, you're next.
Thank you. I just want to tell all of y'all, I really, really appreciate y'all. Like, we've gotten some really powerful stuff. The one sister said, and I just want to tell you this is one thing we have not done. I haven't done. I have not said to my sister, how would you feel 10 years from now when Genesis is going through the same thing? That was so powerful to me, because for a lot of times our kids motivate us to make changes. My daughter motivated me to leave my husband, because I was like, if I let him drag me through the mud, that's fine. But I'll be damned if I let him take my kids with me. But we love our sister. We've said therapy. We've talked, but we're not gonna give up on her. But I gotta be very honest. I'm not gonna coddle her. I'm not gonna tell her nothing. Like, I can't make it soft for her. This dude, his behavior is progressing to the point, like this brother just said. My fear is one day we're gonna get a call that this nigga done killed her. You go from spitting on her to throwing her out of a car to dragging her down the street. Like, I just want to share that, but I really just wanted to say thank y'all, because I really
I got a
appreciate
quick question
topic.
for you, Tina.
Uh-huh.
With all of that, he don't come around y'all much, do he?
Yo, but check it. We don't treat him no differently. Me and Tracy don't. But he don't come around. But he tells his kids, your mom told your family, your mom lying to your family, they don't like me. So it's a whole bunch of, like, the back end is my sister's the youngest one. I think she still has not grieved the loss of our father, because my mom and my dad, regardless of what they went through, they were together. So maybe she wanted that emulated in her kids' lives, and who don't. My dad took care of my mom, so that's what she's seen. She still hasn't, she was there when he died. She still hasn't processed that. Her children's father, he was very abused growing up. So there's a lot of background that only therapy and God can fix. But we are concerned for her because the behavior is progressing, and it's hard to connect with her sometimes because she goes into rages.
Not anger, y'all. Rage, like rage. But Tina, the part that we didn't mention is that, and this is why I'm just like, oh, I know what y'all are saying, but because now she's telling her kids. Now I hear her telling her kids how bad of a man he is, and that's their father, and they love him unconditionally. So she's like, I need to tell them. They need to know the real him. And I'm like, no, you see what I'm saying? It's trickling down. That's not fair to the kids that you're talking bad. I hate when women do that in general, talking bad about their dad because you think they need to know. She's like, how old is Genesis? Tina? 10, 9? And the boy's 7? Like, bringing the kids into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that a parent should never, no matter what they're doing to you, they'll find out. They'll find out what kind of.
They'll figure it out.
Exactly. So it's emotional, like it's unhealthy emotionally. I'm sorry, y'all, because now you got her. Now you got the kids pitted between two adults, and they're both bouncing off the kids emotionally, and the kids are trying to figure it out. And the kids will talk. And I told Amanda, you better be careful one day. Sorry about saying her name, because they might talk to the wrong person. But you got the kids in the middle of this, and we're grown. So, whatever we choose to do as grown women, that's what we choose to do. The consequences be damned. But all of us got a soft spot for our nieces and nephews. Like, you just ain't going to throw them around and destroy their lives. And so that's the hardest part for real, y'all, in all this is my niece and nephew. And go ahead, Trey. I just want to say thank you once again.
Okay.
My turn, not my turn.
With that, I'm gonna hit Sarah, then Anson, and then I'm going to the case study. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, hi guys. My question is more for I think is it Miss Tina and Altricia? I was wondering, like, I know you guys were saying you kind of just have to wait until the person gets sick and tired, and then that's when you're just there with open arms to help them. And I agree with that to a certain extent. I guess I just feel like if they're telling you the abuse is happening, is that not their way of asking for help?
No.
No? Is it just like, I mean, can you explain it to me? And I'm only asking because I was in an exact situation as the sisters, I think it's Tracy and Tina. I was in an exact situation with them where you really don't know what to do, and not to take anything away from the victim at all. But the family and the people who have the family, the friends, the people who have to hear it almost get roped into it too, and become emotionally invested. I remember just like getting calls at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., crying, not knowing like what happened. And then you also have it on your conscience, like, okay, if something does happen to this person, is it my fault because I didn't like intervene? You know what I mean? Did I not do enough to save you from this situation? Like, should I have snatched you out of the situation? You know what I mean? So like, we go through it on our own end as well, being the family members and the friends listening to it. But I just always felt like, if you're telling me, then you obviously want me to do something about it.
Yeah, but she doesn't. She don't want to say nothing to the board. She don't, you know what I think? I think she is. I think she's reaching out for help, but then I think maybe there's like shame. I'm on the phone. There's shame, there's guilt. There's a whole plethora of background emotions, I think, that stop her from taking the next step. But that's part of the reason you kind of want to distance yourself, is because our first response to the sisters is to do something. And so when you're telling me all this stuff and then you say don't do nothing, it's kind of like I'm handicapped. Like I'm in limbo. Like what am I supposed to do if I'm not supposed to do anything?
When you said that, it's the fact that you have to realize that she does want help, But unfortunately, she does not, even though you there to say, I got you, in her mind, she still doesn't know how to ask for help. Exactly. In her mind, she still feels that she's trapped and she can't ask y'all because mentally she thinks if she does, y'all are going to be in danger.
Mm-hmm. And part of that,
somebody,
yeah, part of that is to protect y'all. Like, he would tell me that he was going to burn my parents' house down. If I went to my parents, he was going to burn their house down. And I believe that. Like, so part of that is a protection for y'all. Like, she wants y'all to listen, but seriously, she has to be the one to decide to leave. You can't go over there and pull her out. You just can't. You
I don't
have
know.
to.
I was feeling Bert, and when he was like, "We're gonna drag you out, and we're gonna hold you hostage like they holding you hostage, be taking the kids too." I was feeling that. I felt it when he said that. I was like, "Yeah,
Me too.
let's
Me
do
too.
it."
She'll go back. She'll go right back.
She'll go right back. Now
right,
what I did was because of course, like, and I think the recurring theme through here is my mama. As a mother, I took my kids and sent them to my mother because I didn't want them in that in that toxicity. It was toxic, and I knew it was toxic, and I didn't want them to be in it. I didn't want them to see him hurt me because I knew how that would affect them. In fact, before we got married, I sent my son to stay with his dad because what I did know was that he was not going to respond well to being under another man, especially a man as as abusive as he was. The red flag was already there. So my son lived with his dad and my daughter stayed with me for like 6 months. And then I sent them to live with my mom because I didn't want them to be around that. And we as mothers will do that. Now, y'all have a better chance of asking her, does she want her kids to come stay with y'all? She would probably do that. She would probably protect her kids like that better than.
No, she doesn't want them to be with. That's what Tina said. She doesn't want to take them because now she's thinking about him, which is again is annoying. I don't want them to take them away from their dad. And so she wants them to stay there. But one caveat, since we're sticking with her, she always says, and I'm reading it right now, I'm reading the text. At the end of when she says something, she says, "Don't worry, I'm okay. Don't worry, I'm taking care of it. Don't worry." So she vents, but then lets me know that she has it. Sort of to say, I don't need you to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's a tough situation to be in. I mean, and trust me,
right.
We all in it, but unfortunately, this is great show, deep, but I'm gonna have to keep it moving.
Sorry.
Anson, you, and then my stuff is gonna be pretty straightforward and dry, but it's gonna be informative. And it'll tie everything together. Go ahead, Anson.
All right, I'm going